Hello, my name is Jo. Welcome or welcome back to my bookish corner. Today we're going to talk through what I read in April, my May TBR, and then some ideas that I had for reading challenges / video series that I would love to hear your thoughts on. So before we get started, grab a drink, get cozy, and let's talk books. Cheers. My drink of choice today is just a sparkling water, guava berry flavor from Waterloo. My April TBR was not very big because I knew I had a lot of school, but I still did not get through all of it. So we're just going to talk about the books that I did finish. First being The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I read the majority of The Starless Sea in March, so I think I already talked about it in a different video a little bit. I rated it 4 out of 5. I think the more I look back on it, it would more be a 3.75 out of 5. I liked the writing. The plot felt kind of not very plot-ish, if that makes sense. It felt like the plot was lost in the world building in a way. I still don't know if I could really explain the plot to you. Basically, in The Starless Sea, there's a library that you can only access through certain doors, and there's a boy who has an opportunity to access the library when he's younger, doesn't, but then later has another opportunity to access it. I think the main storyline is meant to be the relationship between time and fate. I really love the way that the story is told. I love it's got books within books, and you're reading passages from books that the character is reading. So we have The Starless Sea, and then there's like 2 other books in The Starless Sea, Sweet Sorrows, and I think there's another one. But there are a couple books within the books, and I love that kind of storytelling. I really loved the writing of it. It felt very well done, more of a literary kind of style of writing than I've had in a lot of my recent reads. And I love that. I love when the writing is pretty, if that makes sense. Pretty writing is my favorite. It just makes me so absolutely happy. So I really did love the writing of this book, but I think I would have loved it more if the plot were clearer. And I don't know how I felt about the ending. I think it felt a little anticlimactic. Like, I think I wanted more from the ending than we got. So The Starless Sea, I think, yeah, was more of a 3.75. I did really, really enjoy the writing. I felt like the story was aiming and like just barely missed in certain parts where it couldn't be a 4 or a 5 star for me, but I think 3.75 kind of describes how I feel about it. And I think that when I finished it, I was a little bit confused still by pieces of it, and I think the more I've thought about it, the more I've realized, like, by the end of the book, if I'm still confused when that's not really the point of the book, like, something went amiss here, and I think maybe someday I'll reread it and change my opinion if maybe I'm reading it when I don't have as much going on. But for now, I really did love the writing, and I think I am excited to read more by Erin Morgenstern. I have The Night Circus, and I am excited to read that by her at some point, because I did really enjoy her writing, and I would be curious in a more plot-driven book than this almost seemed setting-driven, which maybe was the point, but yes. So, Starless Sea was 3.75 out of 5 for me. So then I picked up Persuasion by Jane Austen, which is my favorite book by her. It's closely followed by Pride and Prejudice, but Persuasion has had my heart for many years. I really love Jane Austen's humor, and I, especially in Persuasion, love the development of Anne Elliot and just the maturity and how she looks at her circumstances and how she accepts what her past was without resentment. And like, maybe there's a little bit of regret, but it's not the end of her life. Like, she's not so overwhelmed by these feelings of regret or resentment or whatever. She can acknowledge that she would do differently now and accept that she was young and she made the decisions that she thought were best at the time. And that, I think, is just so beautifully represented in this book, and I love it so much. I suppose I should explain what the book is about. Basically, we follow Anne Elliot, who she is now, I think, like 26, but when she was 1920, had an engagement with Captain Wentworth and was persuaded to break it off because he was considered like kind of irresponsible, I think, and like didn't have enough money, wasn't considered like good enough for her. So now we're 6 to 8 years down the line, and she's kind of lost the bloom of her youth, according to, you know, how the book reads and how people are seeing her. And so it's kind of following, like, Captain Wentworth kind of re-enters the narrative, and so everything is brought back up, and there's this new sort of processing and reflection on everything that happened. It feels like just a really beautiful, mature reflection on choices and decisions and moving forward with life and second chances and all of that kind of stuff. So I love this book so much, and it has 5 stars from me completely. 10 out of 5 stars, like all the stars in the world. And I, you know, obviously have read this book before. I picked it back up because I just wanted something to kind of make me feel that love of literature again for a moment. So I really wanted one that I knew I loved. So I picked Persuasion back up for a little bit. And that was a joy. I had kind of forgotten how funny Jane Austen is, and it was really fun reading like the Sir Walter Elliot character and Elizabeth Elliot, and even Mrs. Russell sometimes. Lady Russell, not Mrs. Russell. And then Anne's sister Mary. Like, just characters that are ridiculous and don't realize that they're ridiculous, but they're written so ridiculously well to be ridiculous. I love them. Yeah, so it's also just like, I'm giggling to myself while I'm reading this book, and I'm reading sentences out loud to Cam. It does make me motivated to reread all of the Jane Austen books because I love them. I love them so much. Definitely want to do a... Ooh, that's an idea for a series. Should I do a reread of all the Jane Austen books? I would definitely love that. I'm going to actually write that down because I think that that would be a fantastic idea. Okay. The next book that I read this month was Shadow and Bone, which is the first in the Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo. So this is the first in a series. It's a trilogy, I believe, but she has lots in the world. So Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows, I think King of Scars is another one in that world. So I had actually read part of Shadow and Bone before and stopped because I didn't like the main character. So I watched the series before I read the books and was told that they are better if you read the books and then watch the series, and it's been long enough since I watched the series that I thought that maybe I could try them again. I did make it all the way through the book this time. I think I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. So this is set in the Grishaverse. Specifically, this one is set in Ravka, which is split by something called the Shadowfold, which is basically like pure darkness. It's got monsters in it, and it splits Ravka into, there's West Ravka and East Ravka, I think. The Shadowfold was made by basically Grisha. I mean, it's not magic. They don't consider it magic, but basically it's the magic of this universe. The Grisha are the wielders of this simple science magic. And there was a Grisha that could wield shadows, essentially, and he created the Shadowfold. The Darkling is what he's called. And they have not been able to get rid of it since. So we follow Alina, who discovers that she is the Sun Summoner, who will have the ability to destroy the Shadowfold. Or at least, like, that's what everybody wants her to do. So we're following her as she learns about this power because she didn't know she had it. As she navigates kind of an entire change in her life, she's separated from her best friend. There's a whole bunch of like discovery and that kind of thing. And I'm not gonna lie, she still annoyed me. I can't say exactly what it is about her that annoys me. she feels very woe is me, and I have a very hard time with characters like that. So she did start to grow on me as I was going through the book. There was a piece where like I was like, okay, I can like her. I can get behind her. Like, I think I can do this. And then specifically, there's a moment in the book, which I'm not going to say because it's kind of a spoiler, but there's a moment in the book where she kind of does some reflection and has some like really big realization moments, and I loved that. I loved the way that it was written. I loved the way that it was portrayed. The like raw emotion, like I feel like I could feel that with her. So I was like, okay, maybe I can like this character. Maybe I can be good with this. And then there is a scene. Let me see. I have it tagged because it made me so mad. There is a scene. It's like dead center of the book, which makes sense, you know, plot and all that. And she made me so angry in that scene, I almost put the book back down, which I think might have been the scene where I put the book down the first time. I was so mad at her. I was just so frustrated. Like, it also kind of tainted the ending of the book for me. Like, I feel like because of that scene, when we got to the end, with the end the way it was, I was like, really? Nah. Doesn't feel good to me. Doesn't feel like we've accomplished anything here. Like, I wasn't a big fan, and I don't think I'm a big fan of the main relationship in the book. Like, that wasn't really for me. So I think I am willing to read the rest, especially because I have friends that really like it. So I want to read the rest, and like I'm going to, and I'm hoping that there are maybe some pieces in the rest of the series that interest me a little bit more and have a little bit more intrigue to it. So yeah, I'm hoping that the rest of the series keeps me a little bit more invested. After Shadow and Bone, the only other book that I read this month, I listened to The Body in the Garden by Kathryn Schellman. That one I gave 2.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't really enjoy the main character. I wasn't particularly invested in the plot. It was a mystery about, I think it was Regency era, and it's our main character. She is a young widow, so I think she's in her late 20s and was widowed early. And she returns to London, where she used to live before she was married, and basically, I think is kind of meant to be like a sort of Sherlock character, that she gets involved in a murder and wants to investigate it and figure out what happened. And she just it felt like most of the book was people telling her that she was brilliant and that she was smart, without her actually really doing many brilliant or smart things. So I wasn't a huge fan of that one. I'm also wondering if audio is just not my format. There are not a lot of audiobooks that I've truly enjoyed. So if you have good audiobook recommendations, I would love to hear it, because there are definitely moments when I have monotonous tasks that I need to take care of, either at work or cleaning at home, laundry, all that kind of stuff. And I would really love to be into audiobooks. With Spotify Premium, you get a few free hours. So I'd love to get into that, but I really have not found an audiobook that I love. So if you have any recommendations for audiobooks, I would love to hear them. That was my last read of April, and technically I finished The Body in the Garden in May. I think May 1st was when I finished that one, May 1st or 2nd. But I'm counting it for April because I think it was the last 10% of the book that I listened to on the first day in May. So that is everything that I read in April. I am officially done with school. So this month I get to go as crazy as I want with my TBR, and I am so excited. So we're gonna get into the TBR, and I'm gonna show you everything that I want to read this month now that I have all the time in the world. So a lot of my May TBR is going to just be overflow from my April TBR that I didn't finish. So I plan to finish the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I actually don't know what these two books entail because I have no context after the first one. So there's book 2 and book 3, that's Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. And then I think it would just be fun to reread Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, since I'm in that universe anyway, and I did really enjoy these, and I want to read through my bookshelf, and these are on my bookshelf. So these two I think are set on a different continent in the universe, where Shadow and Bone is a lot more magic and the savior kind of vibe. Six of Crows is a lot more heist, found family, all that kind of stuff. So I did really, really love this one, and I am excited to reread it. And then I want to read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I think that that would be a fun read to get into. Since I did just finish The Starless Sea, read another one by her. Seems like a good time for it. And The Night Circus, it sounds like, is more of a romance. Behind the scenes, so it's set in a circus, it sounds like, and behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway, a duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their mercurial instructors. Unbeknownst to them both, this is a game in which only one can be left standing. Amidst the high stakes, Celia and Marco soon tumble headfirst into love, setting off a domino effect of dangerous consequences, and leaving the lives of everyone from the performers to the patrons hanging in the balance. So circus, romance, kind of seems probably fantasy as well. I don't usually reach for romance. I don't think I knew that this one was romance, but it sounds like it'll be fun. The circus is a really fun setting, so I'm excited for this one too. Then I want to read If Cats Disappeared from the World, which I got from Barnes & Noble on a discount, and it looks very cute, but I think it's actually might be kind of sad. It's about a postman who gets a terminal diagnosis and then makes a deal with the devil. So I think that this one will be very interesting. I'm excited for it. Also, black cats. Love them. I'm also planning to read The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom, which I have already read, but it's on my bookshelf, and I'm reading my bookshelf, so I will be reading that one. I read this one a long time ago, so I don't remember much of the plot, and I don't have the dust jacket, so I don't have a synopsis of it. You will just have to find out what it is about when I read it and can tell you. Next, I need to read our book club pick, and book club I think is like May 20th, so I'm gonna have to get on this one. This is The Sirens by Amelia Hart, which is about, this is a multi-timeline one, which I love those. I think that they're very fun. So we have 2019, 1999, and 1800. And it sounds like these are maybe they're sirens? I'm not entirely sure. But we picked it because it's gorgeous. I have Wayward by Amelia Hart on my TBR, so if I love this, then maybe I'll pick up Wayward for June. Then I have one that I had in Owl Crate, The Whispering Dark, which is by Kelly Andrew. And I'm assuming that this one is teen, so we will see how I feel about it. But this says, this is about Delaney, who is deaf and gets accepted into a prestigious program that trains students to slip between parallel worlds. It sounds like it focuses on her navigating this school with a disability and making friends, and she possibly talks to dead people? I'm not entirely certain. It seems dark teen. So, we will see. I kind of got a little sick of teen when I was reading on vacation, but it's been a month, so hopefully I can handle one teen amidst the rest of the not teen. That is my TBR for May. I am very excited to have all the time in the world to read, and I think that I am actually going to get through it this month, which is so exciting for me, and I can't wait. I think I'm ready to really just dive into some books and sit in the sunshine and read some more. So super excited about all of those. Usually I try to also put a nonfiction book on my TBR, but I think I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break from that since I've been reading textbooks for the last few months. Maybe in the rest of the summer I'll read some of the nonfiction books that I have on my shelf. But for now, those are my TBR. If I end up reading more, yay. If I don't finish, that's okay. That means that I've been doing activities, and we love to get out and do things. It's good for us. I did also find some materials sitting around my desk, so I will be annotating this time so that I actually have coherent thoughts on the books that I can tell you about. I also am repurposing this notebook, which was previously just like a daily journal that didn't last very long. And so I'm using this to take notes on my thoughts beyond annotating because I don't like writing in books and I can't get myself to get over that hump yet. So I'm going to use these to note the scenes, and then I will put my actual thoughts in the notebook so that I have more coherent things to tell you. The last thing that I wanted to discuss in this video was some series ideas that I have that I'm pretty excited about, but I'm not sure where I want to start. So I wanted to see your thoughts and see if there were any that sounded more interesting than the rest. So there's already one that I thought of actually while I was doing this video, which is rereading all of Jane Austen's books and giving my thoughts on each of those as I read them. And honestly, that could be fun to do for any author. So I'd be happy to do Jane Austen, C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, if there are any others that maybe I haven't read. And I haven't read all of C.S. Lewis's books, so that one could be super fun. But any other authors that just have like, maybe not hundreds of books, but like 10 to 20, 5 to 15, that kind of range of books that like I could just read their collection. I think that could be super fun. Series that I'm in the middle of, I know that there are a few that I'm in the middle of right now. There's Leigh Bardugo, Ninth House, which is only a duology, but I still have to read Hellbent. The Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is one that I could read all of his. That would be a series. That would be a long series, but that could be a very fun one. So let me know if you want that one. I think that that would be a blast. That would kind of be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for books. I feel like that could be fun. Otherwise, books that I should have read but haven't. So I'm thinking kind of staples of like my generation's teenage years. So like I haven't read all of Harry Potter, I haven't read all of Divergent, Hunger Games, kind of those sorts of series that like I really should have read all of them, but I haven't. I think that could be really fun to go through that. And then maybe a series of like indie or self-published authors, because I feel like there are so many like you get the hype books and that kind of stuff off of TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And I think that it would be really cool to highlight some indie or self-published authors that could kind of use the support a little bit more. So I think that could be a really fun series to do. Of course, I would need to figure out how to find them because I don't currently know those resources, but I think that they could be pretty easy to find. So those are some of my ideas. And then the last idea that I had, I got this really awesome gift that's called the Ultimate Reading Challenge. And basically, it's this big book, but it has prompts on the inside, and you get a little present every time you finish the prompts. And I don't know what kind of presents they are yet, because I haven't done any of it. I'm sure I have read some of the prompts, but I haven't been keeping track of it. So actually, an idea that I had was write a bunch of, kind of like the TBR jar that people do, write a bunch of titles that fit the prompt, and then draw out a title, or pick titles that fit, like multiple titles that fit each of the prompts, put it all in a jar, and that chooses the prompt and the title for me. Something like that. I'm still workshopping that idea, but I definitely want to do this at some point, probably this summer, because I think that that would be a blast. Some of the prompts: read a book you selected based purely on its cover design, find and read a book that is much longer than your usual reads, read a book in a genre you've never read before. Ooh, I might have to do thriller for that. That would be wild. I have never read a thriller book. We'll see. Gift a copy of your favorite book. So that's just an activity, but that could be super fun. So there are a bunch in here, and I think that that would be super fun. This was a Christmas gift for me, and I can't believe I haven't started it yet, but I'm super excited about this one. So those are my ideas for series to do. I am currently reading my bookshelf, so that's kind of one that I'm just like working through over time. But I would love to hear what series you would like me to do, since now I have all the time in the world now that I don't have school. Let me know what books you want me to read. Let me know what series you would like me to start, if there are authors you want me to read, if there are other ideas you have for things that you would like to see me do. I am at your disposal and I am ready to read, so give me your ideas and I will be on it. That is all that I have for today. That covered my April reads and my May TBR. I can't wait to hear what you think of my series ideas and what you would like me to start with. And I am actually just going to get into some reading now. And I will talk to you all later. Bye!